afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I know the closure time, so I'll take very little time of yours. First of all, I thank the BIS leadership team here for inviting us. It's really a privilege to be amongst such a knowledgeable team around me here. It's really a privilege. And I also thank my management for deputing me to this workshop here. Now, I am not from Ayurveda background. I have been a person who has been associated with modern drug industry, and I have joined Himalaya about 16 years back, and my role primarily has been how to contemporize the systems used in modern drugs in this industry so that the acceptance of our products in global market grows and we are able to register our products in international markets. As on date, our company operates in about 113 countries, and our products, which are Ayurvedic products, are accepted as herbal medicines in almost 57 countries, and in rest of the countries the same set of products are accepted as dietary supplements or food supplements. So, is there an acceptance of Ayurvedic products as herbal medicines in global markets? Yes, it is. It's only that what sort of data you can show them, what sort of assurance you can give them that it's not only developing a product, it's how we standardize, how we characterize the standards, how we ensure continuity of usage of such standards for every unit dosage form what we manufacture and sell. So I will cover some of the industry perspective of what standardization is all about. Now first, one is Ayurveda products in India, and second is global acceptance of Ayurveda products. Now there are some WHO definitions. The first point is, what does WHO say about complementary medicine? Complementary medicine definition refers to a broad set of healthcare practices that are not part of that country's own tradition or conventional medicine and are not fully integrated into dominant healthcare system. Now, what happens is, we have an Ayush system in India, yes, but we also know that many of the Ayurvedic products are prescribed by allopathic doctors, even in India. Most of our products are prescribed by allopathic doctors also in India. Herbal medicines, which is a global terminology, which includes herbs, herbal materials, herbal preparations, finished herbal products that contain as active ingredients parts of plants or other plant materials. Now our products are accepted as herbal medicines as defined by WHO, as well as the herbal medicine guidelines, regulations of many other countries. Now, three areas were given to us. That is, one is identification of new areas, subjects for standardization, importance of research in standardization, sharing research findings to support standardization. I don't think I can add much more value than what has been discussed, what I have seen from morning. There is such a mind-boggling work which is happening, which has been happening, about which maybe even the industry is not completely aware of, and industry may not be using this knowledge elsewhere. Now, question is, what needs to be standardized? This has actually been covered in its entirety by Dr. Jayant and Mr. Solanki. Everybody has spoken about these, but from industry perspective. So first is the product development. We need to have a standardized methodology of product development along with GACP practices. Now, for herbal medicines or Ayurvedic medicines, an Ayurvedic medicine is as good as the raw material, the plant material, or the extract what we use in the product. So, good agricultural and collection practices and good herbal processing practices, which have been defined by WHO, this becomes extremely important to be followed if we have a good quality product which is both safe and efficacious. Now, what does WHO GMP guideline on herbal medicines focuses on? It generally focuses on maintaining safety and efficacy. So, once a product is developed, how do we maintain safety and efficacy of every single unit dose what we manufacture? Because ultimately, one important component of the entire healthcare system, of this entire value chain, is the product what is given to the patients. So, manufacturing process becomes extremely important. Manufacturing facilities become critical. Validated analytical testing protocols, like everyone else has spoken about, becomes important. Controlled distribution is one more thing what is generally overlooked in our medicines. Generally, there is a labeling which nobody seems to be following. So, regulatory controls, the implementation of regulations is a bit lacking, what I feel personally, in our country. And these things do have impact on the final product quality. And what is very important is adequate labeling. Information to patients, do's and don'ts about the product. Because once a product is developed, once a product is manufactured, it may remain or may not remain safe and efficacious once it reaches the patient or while the patient uses it. So, this sort of information also becomes very important, for which standards need to be framed. It's not moving. It's not moving. Now, coming to the development of the product. So, the stages which need to be standardized again in this is first the discovery of the ingredient, discovery of the medicine, of the medicinal plant. Phytochemical profiling becomes extremely important if we talk about efficacy of the product. Authenticity and characterization. Authenticity, we also depend on Ayurveda Research Institute. Our plant materials, what we finally select, which we use in the approved prototype of a product, we get them authenticated by Ayurveda Research Institute and some other certification bodies. And then comes the characterization of the materials, individual as well as the blended materials what we use in our formulations. Characterization of those standards becomes extremely important, and those characterizations doing by one method is always not the best practice. We have seen we use multiple methods for characterization so that the process becomes very, very robust. Then comes the formulation development, the preclinical, clinical studies, validated methods of testing. We follow ICH guidelines for all these activities. Stability studies, stability testing of the products. So when it comes to product development flowchart, these are some of the activities what we do, like when we talk about the basic drug discovery stage. So based on emerging science, current research and unmet needs of the patients, product briefs and concepts are prepared. Ingredient selection basis Ayurveda classical texts, what we do. And when we try these out, when we discuss this with Ministry of Health of other countries also, it does get accepted, it is accepted. It's not that nothing is known to the outside world, a lot is already known, like others were speaking about. And ethnomedical medicinal database is used. Then global toxicity reviews we do both for actives and excipients. And global regulatory compliance we check. Once we make a product, we make it for the entire global market. So the screening happens as per all the global regulatory requirements. Collection of herbs becomes extremely important, like I said, and once the prototype is made, all the specification parameters as are defined in various standards of Ayurveda, whether it's Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia or now we are talking about the BIS standards. So specifications are made like this. And then comes the efficacy studies like in silico, in vitro, in vivo and ex vivo form. And our safety evaluations, we follow the OECD guidelines for each and every of our products. And then comes the clinical efficacy, technology transfer and product commercialization. Now when it comes to, when we say that WHO says you have to maintain efficacy and safety and quality of every individual dosage form. That's why the further standardization of all other processes comes in. So when we talk about manufacturing facilities, testing facilities, how we do it, how we store, how we transport, all those things play an important part in the maintaining the safety and efficacy of every individual dosage unit what we manufacture. Authenticity we have discussed. What we follow now is DNA barcoding, DNA fingerprinting of our ingredients, which form a critical component of our standardization process. And once the material is standardized completely with these techniques, then we go for the characterization. Now when it comes to the research part of it, we do a very comprehensive phytochemical evaluation of every ingredient we use, and we know some of the plant materials, two different plant materials may have the same morphology, may have the same physical, but phytochemically they are totally different. Similarly, we may have two different species with different morphology, but we see that phytochemically they are same. So a lot of knowledge comes in through this research, through this phytochemical evaluation, which helps us in finalizing a prototype for the product. Couple of examples, there's a long list of items here which I will not go through, which everybody has spoken about, and there's a lot of knowledge already available. Now one thing what caught my attention was the BIS standards for Withania somnifera. I think this is one of the 111 plant materials what you have quoted. Now what I saw in the specification there, doctor, is everything except the active marker, right? So morning we were talking about keeping flexibility. So this also brings in flexibility. This also brings in non-standardization of the products. Now when we say we have not considered what is the active marker in this, although there's a lot of research, there's a lot of knowledge available as to which phytochemical compounds are pharmacologically effective, right? So this is what we should think of. Which will give trust even to the doctors, and it will show us whether the product is actually working or not. We know which are the compounds which are pharmacologically active, and if we miss out keeping those in the specifications, in the standards, we may make a safe product but not a pharmacologically effective product. So this is what we try and do extensively in the industry, at least our company does it. So just a food for thought, nothing with this. There's a lot of research which is already happening, and there are experts here to speak about it. So when we talk about, say, ashwagandha phytochemical profiling, we do it very, very extensively. We check all the markers which are present there, select the best ones. One is the literature, what literature has, but what is shown in our various studies, we select those markers and ensure that our reference standard, what we use for comparing every batch, meets that standard which is characterized already. So something about how research has helped, I just want to give an example or two, because everything else is already discussed. I don't want to go through all these research. GACP becomes very, very important. That's why we depend mostly on contract farming now, because otherwise a lot of variability comes in. So unless these standards are framed, so it will be extremely difficult to reach that level of standardization what we are talking about. Contaminants part, yes, we already heard methods have been now made on, say, pesticide evaluation. Similarly, there are methods to be defined for other contaminants like mycotoxins and other things, heavy metals, because we see, if you talk about heavy metals, using different instruments of different sensitivities plays a big role in knowing what the actual level of heavy metal is in a product. So when we talk about any metal like an AAS, it is not as sensitive as an ICP-MS what we use, where we can trace it to ppb levels, and we have seen invariably if a material passes in AAS testing, it generally fails when we test it in ICP-MS. So sensitivity of the instruments, usage of technology becomes extremely important. Now research findings to support standardization, just an example I wanted to quote. We have the established literature says that some of the herbs have hepatoprotective function. But whenever scientists dug deep, when there was a lot of research done, it took us almost 7 years to reach that stage when, basis the research what we have seen, we could develop a drug called Lev52HB, which is for hepatitis B. This has been very well accepted by global Ministry of Health also. Our product is doing very well. We have got a patent also for this, one in India and one in US. So does research help? Can research be done in finding new cure for unmet needs? Yes, there is a lot of potential in Ayurveda. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you. Thank you, doctor. Yes, sir.
One of the objectives of this workshop was to identify new areas and subjects for standardization. From industry's perspective, would you like to share some of the subjects or areas where standards are not presently formulated and should be formulated on priority? Because the industry is using, most of the standards are used by the industry. So there may be some areas, because many a times we receive requests from the industry that we need standard on particular subject, particular product. So would you like to suggest some of the products where we should go ahead on priority to?
Sir, I can definitely get back to you on this. Can be done. Like we make some monographs for USP. We manufacture those standardized, we characterize those standards, and we have given even to USP. So there are several materials still for which standards are not available and which we have to make in-house. Now we as a bigger company can afford to do that, but medium scale, small scale companies will not be able to do, and standards are not available. So how to do it, how to move forward? So there are some areas where definitely we can propose certain things.
And one more thing, the research findings, if your organization permits, then that can be useful.
I will definitely get back to you, sir, on that. Dr. Saket, when you said there is a lot of clinical research data available on this site, does it also includes clinical research what, say, a company like Himalaya has done?
Sir, actually, the scope of Ayush Research Portal is whatever is published in the public domain, especially from the peer-reviewed journals. If your article is published in one of the journals, it will find a space there.
Okay.
And it's an article merit based. We don't go with any specific other criteria other than that. Whatever is in the public domain, we collate that and try to classify it and publish there.
Okay, yes, fine. I'll ask my R&D team to go through it,
sure, sir,
and whether anything is there or not.
Yes,
yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.